Good evening and welcome to another Monday Night Live. The boys are back in town, back from the trade show. Lots to talk about, so stay tuned for that. Quick roundup of the PGA and DP World Tour. Obviously, Harris English won out in California, and Alejandro Del Rey won. Ras Al Khaimah, yeah. Well, you know, good to see a couple of winners out there. Obviously, the tragic fires that happened down in California, they moved the events around. So good to see Harris winning again. But we don't really want to talk about that. We want to talk about the trade show.
Yeah, it was big. It's big this year. It'd be really interesting seeing where it was at this year, because golf felt busy, and I think we're still riding the crest of the wave. Post a lot of people joining through COVID, and golf's been in a great place, but the trade show has been quiet since then. So there've been, rather than having loads of exhibition, loads of stalls and things, they've had big cafe areas in there. So it's kind of felt a bit down the last few years, but this year it was back up and full. I've not seen it that full for a long time, which is great.
I have to say, I've always felt when you and Jay have come back that there's always been an air of, we're sort of going because it's a bit of a box ticking exercise. But when you came back, and I spoke to you Monday morning or this morning, I know. It felt like, speaking to Jay as well, that it felt like there was a bit more of a buzz about it. There was talk about it going to Texas. We talked about to you guys a couple of weeks ago, if you were watching, we talked about it moving to Texas, but it sounds like it's not going to be doing that. Is that the case?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, to go back to your point, the last few years it's still important from a relationship point of view, and it's the one place where the whole of the Western industry gets together. There is a Japanese show which would be fascinating to go to. We'd see a load of irrelevant products, but it'd be amazing to see. So it was still important from that point of view, but it felt there wasn't exactly much energy about it. Whereas this year, yeah, definitely better. Yeah, you just come away a little bit more enthused about being there, for sure. There was a second question there.
Yeah, so I was just saying about going to Texas.
Oh, yeah, and so we'd heard it was going to Texas, and then so we announced on here, and a couple of guys out there said, well, I watched your show, and I'm trying to work out where it's all going to. And so it's still unsure. Some say Texas, some say Orlando. It looks like it's in Orlando for another couple of years. I think there are contracts in place. Texas is the head of the PGA of America, so it would make sense at some point that they would want it out there, sort of where fields are arches. So there's a ladies' US Open there this year. There's a Ryder Cup there coming up, almost sort of Belfry-esque. That's kind of the centre of the PGA, and they want it to be there. But I don't think the infrastructure's there. I mean, the amount of people that descend on Orlando for the trade show is huge. So it looks like we're there for another couple of years.
Unseasonably low temperatures as well, right? You posted on Instagram that on the demo day, which is a day set aside out of the 5 days that is strictly for hitting balls. Is the trade show still open on that day, or does that all come to a grinding halt?
Part of it. So Monday we spend with Accra. They do a kind of a product test in the morning and golf in the afternoon. We haven't played the golf for years. We may do next year. And then Tuesday is the demo day, and that's the first day of the show.
Got it.
And it's Orange County National. It's a massive drive. It's about 300-yard or more diameter, and you go around 2/3 of it, and there's product around it. And so it's a good opportunity for hitting product, but getting hands-on with some new shafts and things and content. It's a really good day for content. It's not hitting it down.
There was a video that you posted up, and I can't remember what it was, what you were talking about, but I was absolutely transfixed by the two guys hitting balls in the background that were absolutely absolute stinkers. They were hitting tops and shanks and all. It was so funny.
Because there was a comment on that video from someone saying it's good to see the guy behind enjoying his practice so much. And I rewatched it.
It's hilarious.
I'm sure you'd have pulled that straight.
He was having a stinker.
But there is a distinct attempt to not go left and hold it off. The body language was not good, was it?
And so then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday into the show.
So Wednesday, Thursday, so Tuesday, instead of going out to demo day, we went to Fujikura, who had an event at Shingle Creek, one of the golf courses. They had their launch and did a whole day there. So we rearranged a couple of meetings, did that, had a couple of hours downtime, which is rare. And then Wednesday, Thursday were busier because of that, and then we flew home Friday. So the Friday's really dead in there.
Is it?
And it was originally Wednesday through Saturday. and they moved it Tuesday through Friday because of people wanting to get back home for weekend and things. But the Friday, pretty much half of it's packing up.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a big convention centre. When we go to Orlando, we stay in Shingle Creek Hotel. Yeah. Stay there a fair bit. It's huge. It is like football stadium and more, right?
And I was looking at it on the map because where you stay, we stay opposite at Vista K, and next to Shingle Creek is the new Universal Park that's being built. And I was looking at the size of that because it's meant to be the biggest one out there, and then compared the convention centre. So the convention centre itself takes up the whole of Vista K Resort, which is 20 odd buildings worth. So to walk from one end to the other, I reckon 5 minutes. It's huge, absolutely huge, and at least one half its clothing. So the clothing bit we don't go in there, is massive, absolutely massive.
Are you able to buy any clothing when you're there?
No. So it's technically it's no purchasing. So it's there to see samples. It was always where I think 50% of the pre-books for the US was done at the trade show for the hardware, whereas now it happens weeks before.
So you get the lion's share of it. Is there tit tat and knick-knacks?
Oh, there's a whole
that
load of tosh in there.
that you can buy if you wanted to, like naked lady tees and that sort of thing.
So no purchasing in there.
Literally nothing.
No direct purchasing, but you can place orders.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
So it kind of is, but isn't. If you know what I mean.
I just have in my mind that if you've ever been, in the UK, have the Ideal Home exhibition. You got all the exhibitors downstairs, and then you've got all the crap upstairs. Some
of that's downstairs.
That you can say. Oh, Kate Las Vegas. Kate Las Vegas is E15, third major of the season. Friday night live on YouTube at 1:30 a.m. Because it's on Arizona time. So there's an 8-hour time difference there. Jay will be up. He'll be out. He'll be three bottles of wine deep now. He'll be with the kids. Only 2 bottles of wine. But yeah, we wish her all well from here. The lunatic trainer is out there, and I'm sure. We're going to hear much good news for that because I'm sure she's going to do super well.
And she's already world champs qualified, so it's now that kind of box ticked. I mean, she can. Not that she doesn't ever not go for it, but it's almost like a free run now. She can kind of. Whether it's try tactics or test some other techniques out, or just literally go hell for leather.
Playing with the house money, right? It's almost you can do whatever you want.
It's still important to be there. As she said, for being the major, she wants to compete in the majors, and it's an honour to be asked to go to Elite 15.
And I would have thought, Jay, that it's going to be an unbelievable spectacle out there as well, right? You would think if there's anywhere that's going to do it better than anywhere, it's going to be Vegas with ramping up. I mean, Vegas is all a little bit like showy and like making sure everyone looks a bit pretty. You know what I mean? Everyone's going to be there sort of muscle bound and looking good, aren't they? If there's going to be a sporting event that's going to attract lots of people, you'd fancy that to be it.
I mean, one thing Kate has said is every one you go into, once you're in there, it's just an industrial unit that you run around.
Exactly.
So it'd be interesting to see whether they jazz that up at all, and whether they're kind of getting there with the walk-on music might be different this time around with Showgirls and Elvis. But so be interesting to see how she plays this one now she's qualified. I think it'd be fascinating.
Well, as usual, we've got the discs here waiting for all of your questions. Sorry that we've waffled on, but I'm sure we'll talk more about the trade show as we go on. So we'll get straight into this. Extra chili sauce. Hi, guys. Great to have you back on air this week. Simon, could you hit the Mura IC602, Mura IC602 and Proto Concept CO5. I would love to hear your thoughts on these.
Got it. Interesting, there are going to be, from Mura Irons, a couple of black models coming out soon, which look great, I must say.
You seem free of all of these embargoes. And
get in there.
Happily talk about anything you like, Kev T, hi Stu, please can you show the close-up of the changes you made to the student's grip on the video that aired last week? Absolutely. So Keith had a grip that was very much in the base of the fingers, and this was his grip like so. It's got nothing to do really with the V, it's got everything to do with the contact patch. And the contact patch was very much in the base of the fingers, almost in the palm. I placed it on the top first. So I always make sure that the palm is on the facing the floor, then get that contact patch with that lifeline. And then wherever the fingers sit, that's the contact. So that's what the grip then looked like. Hopefully that answers that question for you.
So for those that don't know which models they are, that is the Miura, the IC602. So it's a kind of hollow body design. And that is the Proto Concept CO5 TP. So you can see the channel cut underneath. Very similar kind of depths of head, just packaged differently. So Proto Concept are made by Epon, essentially. They're a kind of Epon Endo product. Both really great heads. I'll start with the 602. Oh, I'm going to blame being on a long flight if I swing it badly.
Well, you've been out there the whole week hitting balls anyway, haven't you?
No, not as many. Well, demo derby, I hit more. So clean lines to the head. And flared that one right a little bit. But still quite a stable feel. I think for Miura, they went to, that was a horrible face angle, I'll do another one. They went to a more multi-piece construction in the past that wasn't really a Miura head, and this one is kind of, they brought it back to a much more kind of traditional sort of style of head, which I think is a good thing.
I think Jay has posted up the link for, is that the YouTube link for the live, the High Rocks live that's going on Friday, so you can find that on the feed on both of our
So kind of fairly mid-launch, strongish on spin, but you're going to get that from this kind of loft, and that slightly hollow feel because it is hollow, whereas a lot of the Miura heads are a little bit more solid sounding. But yeah, none of those completely nuked, but pretty stable. Very consistent spin of those last couple, 100 odd revs difference. Proto Concept spin consistency across the models is where they've been very good historically. On really what the models from the kind of the blade with the carbon, no, what's the ceramic, big word for a Monday evening, with the ceramic on the inside.
With a lot of jet lag on board as well. We'll cut
through to the CO3, to the 05, to the 07, the lofts and the spin tend to maintain. So similarly, a very clean looking head, sort of traditional shape. A little bit of a clickier sound, a little bit of a harder feel. I've actually hit that one properly. A little bit of a harder feel off the face. Slightly more launch, but spin 150 revs higher. So I'm actually striking this one a little bit better, but a little bit more launch, fairly similar on spin. So they're not wildly dissimilar. Feel-wise, the Miura is going to be a little bit softer, but for me, I'm getting a little bit more ball speed off the Proto Concept, where there's a bit of a, you can kind of, well, we can hit a slightly higher pitched note off the face due to the material. Maral's gin, the Miura a little bit more dampened down. But both lovely, lovely heads.
Did you who won on the putting when you went crazy putting?
Be rude to say, wouldn't it?
Ah, James. Good work.
No. James's mum nearly won, actually.
Oh, really?
James was leading, but a late hemorrhage.
Oh, really?
I just had to par in the last three and just sort of coasted in.
Yeah.
Whereas,
tournament leader mini crisis.
James's engine blew out 3 holes out.
He used his personality.
I did.
Unbelievable. And took Titleist with him as well. And his greens back. Simon Langford. Good evening, Simon. Hi, guys. Top show. I have a question for both of you. Q1, what adjustments to the setup and swing would you make for hitting off a mat? None at all. Q2, I'm having a Q35 fitting Friday. Most important numbers. Angle of attack, spin rate, launch.
Well, yeah, I guess when driver or fairway wood. If it's for essentially whichever club it is, for the job you want it to do, you've got to get the right balance of launch and spin. Now, there are so many elements that go into it, I can't say, right, this must be this. I mean, Smash wants to be as close to 150 as possible, but consistency of spin and performance is key. But yeah, depending on your angle of attack, that'll set what the launch angle and spin that's optimal for that particular club is and your club speed. Yeah, it's a fitter that understands it and dials it into you, I would say, is the most important bit.
Yeah, I mean, and ultimately, if you can control your face to path, that's going to be the one that's going to see it find your target more often, because if you've got a face to path value that's repeating, you can at least aim right or left and keep playing with it. So I'd fancy whatever club makes you find the centre most and your face to path is consistent with, that's going to be the winning button, I would have thought.
Yeah, and the nice thing with the QI35, the core model, is you've got the option of dialing switching the weights front to back and back to front to manage the spin and the feel. Weight forward means lower spin, hair more ball speed, but it'll feel a bit more solid. Weight back gives a bit more stability across the face, and the QI35 is definitely better than QI10 for that. Can make it harder to square it up though as well. So you can play around with that quite a bit to dial in the feel and the spin.
Yeah,
good,
and of course it's a conversation with the fitter as well, right? I mean, lean on him for his expertise and enjoy the process. Yeah. Chris Johnston, hi fellas. Simon, can you compare? You're going to be busy tonight. I got this vibe.
I was going to loosen my back up.
Yeah. Can you compare the GT3 10 degrees with stock Hasdas Gen 5 and VA Slay 65 in stiff? Wonder if the softer tip of Slay will help kick up launch and help with low left miss. Thanks.
The answer to that is, as a comparison, it's not actually a relevant one for me to do because it's only relevant to me. So the directional miss, it might actually make it worse for you, the fact that the Slay swings a little bit more tip heavy. So my only reservation in doing that, for the reasons that you want to see out of it, is that what it does for me could be completely different for you. So it might not be the right fix.
Let's give the audience what they want. Let's give the audience
GT3 10 degree.
GT3 10 degree, yes. Chat GPT says, pausing the Grant and Phil video for this. Let's go, boys. Well, let me tell you, Phil and Grant have got nothing on us. Just make sure you're subscribed to our channel. Yes.
It's a bit harsh.
God, is there, I mean, honestly, the speed and wit of Jay is ridiculous sometimes. Chat GPT, did you find out any news about a new CBX in brackets 5 from Cleveland, Simon?
Not that there isn't one launching. It may be later in the year, it might be this time next year, but certainly not right now.
Simon Muggleton, if you create ball speed of 137, 139 with driver, what is the desired percentage of carry total distance? For example, 90% carry.
Depends on your launch angle.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few ingredients there that are going to determine what your carry is. We'll need a bit more than just ball speed. The Yorkshire Blade. Hi, Simon and Stuart. Can you hit the Mizuno S3 against the 243 and TM cavity back, please?
Can't yet because the S3 demo isn't here yet.
S3 demo's not here. Come back next week. Gives you an excuse to
probably
ask
in
us.
a couple of weeks' time we'll be able to do that.
That was from the TYB. I'm going to jump onto my channel briefly. Mark Rowley, he says, hello fellas, can you help me with a problem? Try to. Toe shanking irons, that's a beauty. So far off the toe, strike isn't on the grooves, hurty fingers in this weather.
Yes.
I've got a canny little drill for you, Mark, that will help you with your toe shanks. More than likely, you're hitting, let's see the leg of this golf bag.
I am planning on changing bags soon. So.
That's all right, I'm not going to whack it. Let's see the leg of that golf bag as your golf ball. Now, invariably, what tends to happen is if someone is raising the handle and gets too much inside, you can see the shaft stands up and the club head gets pulled away from the ball and whacks it out the toe. The same person that does that is the same person that could hit it out the heel. You're just unlucky that could be hitting out the toe. So what I would get you to do, put the club head above the golf bag, make a through swing and try to get the club head to stay at the same height as the handle. And what you'll then start to feel is how you can start to keep yourself in posture. And when you do that, when you push the handle more down, look what happens to the club head. Look how the club head goes out to the golf ball. And so you might be able to then start to move your toe shank a little bit more out the middle. And who knows?
Piece of advice: use someone else's golf.
Yeah,
If you whack the top and break the head off, then it's not yours.
Yes, yeah, I'd be buzzing that. Did that drill, Stu? It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Fixed my toe shanks,
Cost
but I've
me
now got to
500
buy a
quid
new
for a
set.
new driver,
Got to buy a whole new set of golf clubs. Precision Golf is your place.
Right, so we're going to start with the sleigh.
Oh, sorry about that.
Right. Okie dokie. So principle wise, sleigh, mid to tip balance, but softer tip. The 10's a little high loft for me, but so what the heavier tip and the softer tip can do, for some players a heavier tip end is going to drop it in and allow you to leave the face a little bit more open, so make it harder to hit it low left. For others, if the club drops behind, it can make you fetch it and flip it over. So this is where I'm a little bit reticent to say it's definitely going to do one or the other, because it could do either for you depending on your patterns through the ball. But for me, this one's dropping it in and leaving the face a little bit more open. So it's just rotating under. So for me, it's sending it up and right. Not really, I can feel the tip kick a little bit more. It's not really the tip hitting it higher, it's the fact that for me it works it under and I deliver more loft. But if I then go to the hazardous, which is designed with a stiffer tip, the Black Series have always been designed around a lower flight profile. I've got to switch a couple of bits around.
While you're just doing that, Bama asks, good evening, gents. Stuart, is there a drill you can do indoors to help with face control while we are all stuck inside for the winter? Practice your grip. I did a great video about 4 or 5 videos ago on my channel with a little grip aid. Buy the grip aid. It's $19.99. It's not a paid plug. It's just the best grip aid on the market. Watch the video, fix your grip, and that, my friend, will give you club face control. That is as simple as that. Graham, affiliate link. Yeah, affiliate and Vasta link.
Like there's weird messages you get on YouTube where someone's done some crypto message on your post.
Oh, I know. Then Graham Jones asked, to break 80, what is the level of importance? Well, absolutely top of the pile is strategy. Give you a good example of that. Used to go out and do competition weeks with 25, 30 amateur golfers. Stand on the first tee, and they would launch driver out of bounds, blob the first, and then their next 3 holes, they wouldn't be able to get a point on the board. They're getting 2 shots down the first. Why not just take a 7-iron off the first, then hit another 7-iron, hit a wedge, get it on 2-putt, and make 2 points. Strategy is always the killer of most golfers. That would be absolutely top of the pile. Second would be finding the face, the center of the face with the driver. That is absolutely premium, because that will sort out your slice, and then just learn to putt. And if you do that, you're not going to be far off breaking 80.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd have said the two ends in play off the tee and hole out.
Absolutely. And people, my fairway woods aren't going very well. That doesn't matter. I mean, if you play a par 4 and you've got 220 to go and you pull out a fairway wood, honestly, go and get yourself a chainsaw and cut your leg off, because that would be more useful. Because honestly, taking a fairway wood, hitting a green from 220 is just never going to happen. I mean, you're more likely to lose the ball, right? I mean, you might as well.
So not if you've been fitted here.
No. If you're looking to break, if someone was to hold a gun to your head and break 80 at 220, trying to hit a green.
Mitigate as much risk as possible.
Yeah, and it's just for breaking 80. Don't be taking out fairway woods. Just get it down the fairway. I think there's not going to be, you know, if you're on the long holes, on the par 5s, if you've got 220 into that par 5, the 220 take-on shot is going to, you're going to equally give yourself as much problem. On the 440-yard par 4, if you've still got 220, you'll be getting a shot there. So you shouldn't be knocking it on the green anyway, so take a 7-iron. So the outliers, the par 5s where you've got a chance of hitting it on into, the long par 4s that you don't need to be getting it onto, keep it in play. It's those stressed moments, taking on tough tee shots, taking on tough second shots. They're the biggest hurdles that you've got. And if you can keep it out the middle of the face and have half decent putting day, and you strategize well, so strategy, center of the face with driver and good putting, you're going to break 80 every time, as long as you don't leave it in front of you. but it's really not difficult.
Also,
It's really
Zach
not
Johnson
difficult.
won the Masters, not going for any par fives in 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Granted, conditions were a bit different that year, and it was rock hard.
Yeah,
but,
yeah,
but he
absolutely.
didn't go for 1 par 5 in 2.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Right, so hazardous black Gen 5. So stouter, designed with a more tip stiff profile. Structurally, in theory, a little bit more rigid. Definitely feels a little bit more solid. And for me, actually allows me to square it up a little bit more easily. So in principle, the question, will the sleigh stop you smothering it low left?
Cracking name, by the way, Sleigh.
Sleigh, yeah. The answer is definitely maybe. It might well do. In theory, for you, what happens is the same as me. If that drops it under and works the face underneath and lets you deliver an open face and more loft, versus this one, say for me, helps me square it up a little bit more easily and not have to fetch it over. So I can hit, that one's a little bit of a tight draw, but it doesn't flare high right. It's going further and I can hit it straighter. So it's not the right call for me, but it might be the right call for you.
Which was to your point, right? It just, yeah.
Yeah, and there are going to be other people where it would drop underneath, you fetch it with your right hand and you hook it. So yeah, try before you buy.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. All right.
But great shaft. Victor Farblaze is a lovely man.
Yes. So, Tony, by the way, Tony, welcome. Welcome back, gents. Thank you, Tony. Can you hit the GT2 and the QI35 3-woods, please, at 16.5 in a Ventus Red to compare, please?
Probably knowing Tony, original Ventus Red. I think that's the one he's got.
Okay, so while Simon dashes off to get that, Bama number 1. Thanks, Stuart. I will order the aid, but make sure you click the affiliate link. Joking. Doug, Q for Stu. On the odd occasion, I've had a socket when playing 50-ish yard pitch shots. What's your take on that horrendous shot? Yeah, the biggest issue with that is that most people have too long a backswing and slow down. And as soon as you're doing that, the club is tending to overtake. If you think about what acceleration does in a pitch shot, acceleration in a pitch shot really starts to load the club. So you start to get a loading of the golf club. And of course, when the club loads, the angle of attack or the radius of the swing gets a bit more narrow. So if you were going to hit it anywhere, chances are you'd hit it more out the toe. So I would make sure that your backswing's just feeling a little bit shorter, and then you feel that extra acceleration on the way through. So try not to make long backswings, make shorter ones, and almost go up the ladder. So start off at 10 yards, 20 yards, 30 yards, using the same length of swing. And only when you feel you need to lengthen it, but increase the distance of the shot with the speed you put into the swing rather than the length of the swing. And that way you'll start to get some better dynamics. Outside of that, just make sure your legs are feeling some vertical force upwards, and that will stop you from dropping in, and sometimes that can push the handle out. But there's a couple of ideas that might go some way to sorting out those heel strikes.
If you're like me, if you don't push out of it, you fat the heck out of it.
Yes.
That was me a few rounds ago.
Yes.
So I can attest that resisting and pushing off the ground stops you fatting it.
Yeah.
So
yes.
I didn't want to run around the other side and grab another shot, so I got the current version Ventus Red, but the 16.5 in both heads. I know what I'm expecting to see. I'm expecting to see the TaylorMade's lower spin. So, but yeah, GT2, very good head. Better low off the face than any of the previous Titleist heads. And good at picking it up, picking up a little fly, I'd expect. Yeah, kind of this one, I play quite a low spin head.
Beautiful shot.
So that one at 4.4, little low on the face, quite spinny, but plenty of launch. Do one more there. That was a little more out the toe, that'll spin a bit less, but plenty of launch. So I've towed it and it's brought the spin down, but that's a toe strike, but picks it up pretty well.
Very nice, very nice. Question here for you. Oh, screen's just gone blank. Hang on, 1 second. Hold that thought, technology. John Burton asks, why would I upgrade from the TSR1 driver to the GT1? Any benefits? I love the TSR1, but don't want to miss any greater outcomes.
So any of the brands now would say the current launches are not necessarily for someone who's got the previous model or even the one before that, but more like 3 models prior. Based on what I've seen of it, the GT one has weight front back is going to be possible to make it lower spin, whereas the TSR one is all about being lightweight and flighting it up. So TSR one, if you need launch, if you need a bit of spin, if you need the lighter weight option, is still a great head. GT one will give you the ability to manage the spin a little bit more. So if you find the TSR one good but a little spinny, then GT one may then help to assuage a little bit of that without giving up the lightweight element to it.
Very good.
But
Very good.
It's all the brands are at pains now to not claim that this is going to be 20 yards longer than last year's model. They've stopped doing that now, but they're saying if you go back 3 or 4 models, absolutely there's a gain across the face.
Yeah.
Right. So QI35, slightly more aggressive looking head, I would say. Oh, it's a chunk.
The old drop kicker.
That swing was still over the Atlantic somewhere. Yeah, that was a horrendous one. Yeah.
Moving on.
Moving swiftly
Take
on.
two.
Take 2, yeah. So, general feel off this head, and I had a few people say it now, yeah. So, slightly toe side, that's got 2,500 revs of spin on. This one for me is an absolute, or for me, I think this year, this is a head that is RBZ-like in terms of performance and distance. It's an absolute bomb. But if you catch it a bit toey, as I just did, that was middle a bit more, then the spin comes right down. So that one, hit properly, 3,000 spin. Now I play the Paradigm Triple Diamond, go on to the 15 lofted up one, and that's the spin I get. This is the 16.5. So this thing is an absolute missile.
Yeah.
And if you're a moderate spinner of the ball, I think you could find this a bit of a knuckle. However, it will go like stink.
So possibly someone that might not be the best driver of the golf ball, that might like the look of something with a bit more loft on it, and a bit more friendly.
It's still got a bit of scale to it, but the 15 degree, if you turn the loft down, because these are now adjustable, which is great. But I think that one, if you're a good fairway player but not confident as a driver and don't want to go to, say, the mini driver, the 15 turned down go miles.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, I've had like 2,100 spin out of the 15 degree, which for what I want to do is way too low.
Coming out like a cannon.
But it's an absolute bomb. So I think RBZ would be the comparison on that head. I think they are going to do tons because you can turn the 15 up to turn the toe in and make it a bit more drawbast, and they've now obviously got the 16.5 there as well. They're going to get an awful lot of those.
Martin Williams asks, have you tried the new Pro V1, and is it possible to test it against the previous Pro V1 with a 7-iron and a driver, please?
We haven't got the RCT ones in yet. They should be here soon, and as a result of that, we're going to wait till we've got those to do the test. I haven't played it. I know what the differences are designed to be, i.e. not an awful lot. They are meant to be retaining a bit more spin in the upper end of the irons, but essentially Pro V1, Pro V1X off the tee, I believe have come a little closer together, but then separate a bit more into the irons.
Gary Satterfield does.
But we'll do a comparison video as soon as we've got them. We'll do a kind of a longer format video on that.
Gary Satterfield, does cheating count with one way of breaking 80?
It's a way.
Great show, guys. Welcome back, Simon. Graham Jones, got my girlfriend to swing a rope right-handed, only to get her to use the right side like you show in your video. She got a bit of a scar on her back after the first attempt, but now she got the hang of it. Well, in the pursuit of good golf. Yeah.
Isn't it?
Graham's been documenting his tutelage to his girlfriend over some videos of mine, so it sounds like he's
Is that quite a good way to show someone from an early point that golf's painful?
Yeah, I'm not sure it's the way I'd go, but there we go, each to their own. Dan Chiavello, good morning from Australia. Whereabouts in Australia? Love Australia. Papa B, hello young men, I know graphite iron shafts have come a long way. Do you see anything even better on the horizon, and do you think they'll overtake steel at the better player and tour level?
Tough to say. I think in steel, the one thing you get with steel at the heavier weights is you haven't got to use as much material. and so you can keep actually a bit more feel out the shaft. So currently, for an all graphite shaft, they can get quite dead because you get so much wall material. But that's then where we're seeing things like the Axioms, the VA, the Sinister, the 120, some of the Tour AD or the Acrates edge shafts, where you're getting kind of stronger players, graphite composite shafts, things like steel fibers. I think multi-material is where it's going to end up rather than just all graphite. We will see more of it, but there is also a cost element to it too, which has to be considered as well. So there are lots of bits that go into it. We will see more of it at the professional level. Will it overtake it? Not for a long time. Not for a long time.
Paul Andrews, evening, gents. Hang on, we've disappeared. We've disappeared. Let me just do that again.
You got twitchy
Excuse
finger.
me. Yeah, it's been a bit funny tonight. Excuse me, everybody.
Must
Let
be
me just go
something
back.
in the
Yeah,
water.
Paul Andrews, evening,
Like
gents.
me trying to control a TV with
Yeah,
whereas
right.
it's not an iPad.
I noticed it's been a couple of months since the last fitting videos. Are these being discontinued or just a case of not having enough people willing to be on camera?
A little bit of time of year and just getting the right kind of content. We've got a couple that are going to be coming up pretty imminently. This time of year does understandably get heavy with product comparisons videos that we're going to be filming 2 or 3 more tomorrow because it's that time of year. But yeah, there are definitely 2 or 3 fitting videos lined up, ready to come out soon.
Paul Andrews said, if it's the latter, how can I sign up?
Oh, well, just send us an email and tell us what bit of the bag you want to look at and we'll schedule the time.
Lovely. John Burton, do
Thank
you
you very
love the Velocore White Plus?
It's interesting. Yeah, the White Plus was so the White Plus is the lighter weight one. So the Velocore Plus, the Ventus range are actually all Tour shafts. So whilst chatting to Chad Embry last week, he kind of reiterated that even the Red, whilst it's the highest launching of the 3, it's still a very stable shaft, and the Velocore is what makes it so. So actually what they've done is launched the White Plus, or launching the White Plus, which is a 49.5 gram shaft across all the flexes. But actually even at that weight, it's got a bit more guts than some of the other shafts at that weight. So it's still a very stable shaft, certainly in the tip at that weight. So I think it's an interesting one. Yeah, I think it gives a nice variety to the type of shafts on offer at that weight. And relative to weight felt pretty stable, yeah. So it'd be an interesting one.
Sorry, Paul, I moved on rather quickly there. If you want to email Simon, excuse me, Simon at precisiongolf.co.uk, he'll be able to help you out with get that fitting booked in, and we'd love to shoot it for the channel, absolutely. The Left Rough, I know you guys are brand agnostic, but in terms of fitting numbers for 2024, what brand models topped the charts for driver, fairway, hybrid, irons and wedges?
Well, so driver I know is between G430 and GT2, and fairway would certainly G430 was way up there. I think that one when fairway was highest, just that shallower head and the way it collected. The Callaway was also the Paradigm AI Smoke Max was also very, very high up there as well. Hybrid, sounds like a break record again, 430, such a versatile, easy club to use. And it's that ease of use and balance of launch and spin in the fairways that makes it so. Irons, I haven't got the exact numbers, but my gut feel is that T150 was the best seller.
Titleist.
Yeah, that just ticks so many boxes from a ball speed, stability, shape, brand. Everyone, we're all brand conscious really. As much as you can be agnostic, there is that kind of people. Titleist is still a aspirational brand in that respect. It's a feel good playing them, but performance-wise, that was very good. Strixon also did really well, as did Ping I230, but I think the T150 would have just nicked it. Wedges Vokey still, for sure.
We've got Jack's dad, Alistair Cuthbertson, on the channel. Hi guys, good to have you back. Got my new clubs on Saturday following pre-Christmas fitting. Haven't hit the irons yet, but the driver, 3-wood and 7-wood, unbelievably good. A big thumbs up to Nick Scrutz for an awesome fitting. Well done.
So with the weather
Alistair.
you've had up there, I'm amazed you've got out.
Yeah.
It was a gale force. Well, it's a standard breezy day up in Scotland, isn't it?
And super lovely to meet you, Alistair, as well, when you came down for our Friday night live as well. That was great. Matthew Bates, evening chaps. Best time to book a fit when all the new gear is available.
So if you're right-handed, we'll have some additional bits like so we get all the standard packs and one or two of the brands where we order lots of different heads other than the standard ones. We've got a chunk of those now, but the infills will be coming in the next week or two. Your left-handed, so kind of mid-Feb onwards, we'll have everything for right-hander. For left-handers, I'd probably say back end of Feb. That always sort of filters through, sort of drip feeds through a little later on than most. There's the odd club that will be March. There's some slightly later editions, sometimes in wedges. But yeah, generally by mid-Feb, we'll have everything.
Perry Mason asks, evening both, have you got a drill for lifting torso on the takeaway, assuming it's my overswinging? Check out my video on the takeaway. It's got a TheraBand around the neck. I haven't got a TheraBand with me, but check that out. It's not something I carry around on a regular basis. Yeah, just in case I have a bad round of golf.
At least there's a bit of give in it.
But check out my video on the takeaway. You'll find it. It's a cracker and it will absolutely help you with that, my friend. Extra chili sauce. It keeps on popping up. Pin post. Sorry. Thanks, Simon. Extra chili sauce says, thanks, Simon, for the Mura Proto comparison. I'm in for an iron fitting in a couple of weeks, and so really helpful. Craig T, do you think there is a significant improvement from the TSI to the new hybrids? My 18 and 21 TSIs are well used, and I'm considering upgrading to GT or G440 or the QI35. When will you have the GT hybrids to fit? I need to sit down after that message.
GT hybrids are 4th of Feb is technically when we should have them. I have asked the question this morning to our rep to check exactly we're going to have them. I think that they will be relative to TSI. TSI is a good head, retained a bit of spin. I think you'll find a little bit more launch. In principle, you should find a little bit more launch out of the current heads. It just depends where the spin sits as to what suits you best. Actually, it's why a lot of players suit some of the slightly older models because they retain a bit more spin. But you definitely find a bit better performance low on the face and a little bit more launch out of all of those. I haven't hit the GT hybrids yet, so look forward to doing those next week. We'll be going over some product training with the guys from Titleist and get hands on and get a proper comparison.
We've got 18 minutes to go. We do this every Monday, 6 p.m. here from Precision Golf in Surrey, the UK. Tell your friends, give us a like, share it with your friends as well. Loads of content coming your way, and we always love answering your questions, so do keep them coming in. Tony, by the way, have you got, or should I say, Ian Linfoot, when fitting irons, what type of player needs the Srixon versus the Style Sole? Style Sole? Player needs the Srixon v Style Sole.
Oh, V-style sole.
Oh, V-style sole.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, sorry. So wild to compute that one. So in principle, they would argue everybody, because in theory, for them, they're using the front edge to not letting the camber on the front edge to stop the leading edge catching, and then the back edge relief so that that doesn't catch, so you get a scoot forward and then it clears out the way. So generally speaking, most players in principle could benefit from it. It is a kind of universal design. If you play on really firm turf and you pick it off, you might find it feels a little bit kind of jumpy off the sole. It might kick up off the sole slightly. However, if you generate a bit of shaft lean, if you're getting ball first, that shouldn't make a big difference. It's only if you play on really hard turf and you add a bit of loft, you might find that. So if you're on slightly softer turf profile, then it's definitely a head from a sole design point of view that you should be looking at, because a lot of the other brands are starting to incorporate wedge style designs, leading edge beveling. Mizuno with the S3s in particular, and the JPX 925s have got that slightly kind of killed front edge. So a lot of the others are taking a look at it now. Good all-round heads, and ultimately the ball speed and the spin profile should be where you're likely to see more differences than just that sole shape.
Eric Wallace, best show on YouTube. Thank you, Eric.
Much.
Really appreciate that. Can you guys demo the Srixon Fairway versus the QI10 Fairway? Wanted to compare launch and spin characteristics. Appreciate it.
Probably next week. We've got the irons. The woodheads are on their way in. Sod's Law, they'll probably arrive tomorrow. But we'll
do it next week.
Remind us next week, and we'll We should have them next week.
Norwegian Warhound, nice to see you, Norwegian Warhound. Hope it's not so snowy where you are. Currently in DGS 300s, what are some iron shafts on the heavier end that would help with higher launch and peak height? I know the iron head will play a role and may have to go lighter. Cheers, men.
Yeah, I mean, so the Dynamic Gold S3 at that weight isn't a particularly low launching shaft. There isn't going to be a high launching 130 gram shaft. Realistically, you're going to have to look at head design or technique to make a difference versus a shaft of that weight, because it can't exert enough extra dynamic loft. So like a Dynamic Gold mid 130, in theory, so okay, it's a soft tip, you kick it higher. It's not going to bow enough to add enough loft to see a really noticeable change in height on its own. So it may well be that dropping a little bit of shaft weight and or a head that launches a little bit higher is your best bet.
Very good. Cracking answer that.
Thank you.
Hi guys. No, it was.
They do the DG mid 130s in black, they look quite cool.
You overstepped the mark there. Simon Muggleton, hi guys. Following on from earlier question, launch is around 74 feet, getting to 216 yards carry and about 245 yard total carry. Should I be looking to get more height and carry?
So it depends what. Again, there's always a bit of a caveat. Depends where you play and the kind of ball flight you want to see. So height at 75 feet, 25 yards, it's high enough. And if you're carrying it to 20 odd, yeah, kind of 75, 80 feet's a pretty good flight window. And with a run out, if you're playing in more kind of UK conditions or slightly windier conditions where that little bit more run out means a bit lower spin, means a bit more penetration on the flight, that's a good thing. If you're playing in, softer conditions where there's very little run out or it's watered heavily and carry distance is optimal, then you probably need a bit more flight height. So there are a couple of ifs and buts and maybes, but it doesn't sound like a bad ball flight. And has a nice bit of run out to it and quite a bit of strength. So it doesn't sound in a bad place.
Denny Smith, what's your driver of the year so far, including last year's Titleist?
So driver of the year from last year.
Yeah,
it's quite tough to gauge it so far this year. But
yes,
I can give an early indication from this year. I mean, driver of the year last year. I would probably say, I think for just a consistency, the G430 was very, very good. The Titleists were really, really good as well and had a slightly stronger flight, but the stability across the face of the pings was second to none. 440 is echoing that, but it's not quite as fast as some of the others. I think QI35 is going to kill it from a ball speed point of view this year. We've
now got 13 minutes. We've got quite a few questions.
Right, quick fire.
Doesn't have to be silly quick, but lean them up. The Yorkshire Blade, good show, guys. Thank you. Have you tried the T1 wedges yet?
Yes, good. Weight high in the face, which is good for solid feel. Spins really nice. Sole shape's a little bit more versatile. Good heads.
Jason Owen, is the PXG mini driver the best mini driver as it can be custom fitted compared to the TaylorMade and Callaway mini drivers that cannot be custom fitted?
No, I don't agree. I think it's a solid head. But actually you can, the TaylorMade, we'll see how they launch it. The Callaway in last year's mini driver was fittable. We had heads that we were able to fit with. So the PXG is reasonable. I think the Callaway from last year was more forgiving. So I would say it's a good option, but is it the best one? Haven't hit the new models, so I can't comment on those, but I think the Callaway was the best one from last year.
John Kelly, have you hit the ZXi Fairway? If so, how was the ball speed and launch?
Ball speed good, and the Strix on fairways are stronger flighter than you'd expect them to be. I think they're maybe not quite as low spin as the QI35, but they're a strong flighted head. They're quite forward going, so you might find a lot of people lofting them up a little bit. But good heads, ball speed pretty solid as well. So I think they could punch above their weight.
You've really stepped up the answer there.
You're
now you've leaned them down. You don't have to lean them down any more than that. Okay. I think that's absolutely perfect.
I think it's kicked in from earlier.
Jason Owen, no. John Kelly, Josh.
They all started with a J.
Yeah, I know. My full shot pattern is consistently a heel strike, and I feel trapped at impact with my left leg staying bent. Any advice? Could it be the lie angle? They are 2 degrees flat.
That sounds like more of a physical issue than a club issue. I don't think you could directly blame the clubs for that kind of slide. And it sounds like you're either old school, have a bit of a lateral shift, and therefore can't clear off that left leg, or you may have a back issue, which means you can't rotate. But I would look at that first than blame a club.
Check out my leg action series over on my channel, Good Golf Coaching.
Because you could have a flat line, still deliver low hands and clear left.
Absolutely. So. James Ferguson, hi. Would you mind explaining the difference between the Dollar Taper Lite S and the Dynamic Gold 120 R300? I play the KBS, but thinking of switching to the Dynamic Gold. Thanks and welcome back.
Gosh, chalk and cheese. Dynamic Gold 120 is 120 grams, tip heavy, mid-launch, solid weight, structurally solid shaft, suits an aggressive move. Dollar Taper Lite in a stiff's 100 grams. So it's 20% lighter, higher balance point. I mean, massively different shafts. So one will massively suit your timing more than the other. Totally different animals. Yeah.
Brilliant. Mark Howard, I know you'd rather everyone has a fitting, but if you had to pick irons for a weekend monthly warrior, who is a good driver of the ball and can hit pretty well with irons, what would you pick? P790s.
There you go.
How long is a piece of string?
I mean, God knows. There are too many elements to where your ball flight is, what's your trajectory. I honestly don't know. P790, ZXi5, T150, Ping I230, Ping I530, Mizuno MP245, JPX925. I mean,
you know what you've been there, don't you? Agnostic.
But I can't be anything but.
Absolutely.
If you want a piss missile, then the 790s would be great.
Yeah.
But if you're low spin, they could come out like an absolute exocet, and therefore the I230 or the JPX 925 forged could suit you better and give you more control. There are loads of great heads.
I mean, I used to work at a golf shop.
I apologise for saying piss missile.
Many moons ago, and people would just come in and say, "I want a set of irons." Yeah, well, they'll do you those ones. I mean, it's outrageous, really, is it? When you think about it, you know.
But we didn't have the kit.
No, I know.
In the 1970s, we didn't have the kit to move, did we?
Steady on.
Sorry,
1970s, 70s. I may still run a 70s haircut, but look, I don't. Josh asks, I've been in for a full bag fitting early last year. Happy with my woods, but really don't enjoy hitting the irons. Done lots of swing work since. Can Simon have a look if I book in, and will it cost?
In terms of something like that, if there's something you're not happy with the way it's performing, then let us know. We'll book you in, no cost for the session. That's a troubleshooting thing, and should be hopefully something fairly small. But we'll look to rectify and do anything to make them work for you. Just to say, glad that you've let us know. Email me directly, and we'll find a time and make sure we get them working for you.
Simon at precisiongolf.co.uk. Carlos St. Patrick, evening lads. Evening, Carlos St. Patrick.
Spanish-Irish.
Yes.
Spanish-Irish. Yeah.
Evening, lads. What two graphite iron shafts would you recommend that are similar to the Nippon Modus 130?
Oh, that weight, not many. At that weight, had you said the Modus 105, I'd have had a few answers for you. At 130, I mean, it's a 125 gram. Axiom 125, though it'll feel harder. Acrodu, the TZI 115. Most of them aren't going to go up quite that heavy because you don't really, unless you're Bryson, you're not really using a graphite shaft of that weight. They're going to feel quite a lot tighter and potentially a little harder. But there aren't too many at that weight, so I'd go those kind of couple as a base point.
Jonas asks, how will Ventus White be compared to Ventus Red 50 gram?
So Ventus Red is still structurally more stout shaft through the middle, and designed to be kind of, it's a mid-spin shaft, even though they call it mid to high. It's still structured that little bit heavier. The 50 is more like a 55 to 57 gram in the Ventus Red, whereas the Ventus 4 White is 49 grams. So you're still losing 7 or 8 grams. It's going to be more responsive through the midsection. Actually still feels quite stout on the tip. The dead weight's still down quite a bit. Might find it spin. It's designed to spin a little bit more, but very much a driver shaft, whereas actually the Ventus Red could work quite well in a fairway as well.
Very good. Matt M. had a wonderful fitting with Mark on Friday evening. Did you hear that, Mark? ended up being fitted into the i530s. Looking forward to the wood fitting on Valentine's Day. Well, I'm not sure anyone would like to spend more time with Mark than you on Valentine's Day than me. I mean,
He'll come round to you for the start of the fitting with a rose in his teeth.
yeah, and he'll have chocolates and a glass of wine and all sorts. And if you're lucky, he might do a speciality dish for you as well. Can't think of a bit.
It's one of his. What was it?
Signature
What's his
dish.
signature dish, Mark? I knew it was prawn.
Prawns in a crab linguine. Yeah. So Matt M goes on to say, can't think of a better way to spend the evening. Well, I think we should get that on YouTube.
Yeah.
Matt M. Then, and then he says, then taking the missus to Precision Golf. James Young, what iron would you recommend to try for a 12 handicapper with very low spin and quick transition? Spine tends to be 4,500. Oh, spin tends to be 4,500. It does spell it spine. Tends to be 4,500 with 7 iron and swings around 92 miles an hour. Should I consider traditional lofts blades?
Blades, not necessarily, but certainly something like an I230, you can retro the lofts to get that launch and spin up. Because if you're delivering 4,500 revs of spin with a 7 iron, and that's lower than my 6 iron, so that is not an awful lot of spin. And at your speed, there's going to be massive gaps down the bottom. So you might hit your short irons a long way, then you're knackered at trying to make up a lot of the gaps that are going to be at the bottom, and then everything's going to clump together at the top. So bringing the lofts back, get some flight on there. I230 is a really good baseline. Potentially the T100 as well. Just from a ball striking point of view, it's hard to get forgiveness and that height. So you may, in order to get the control on the flight, you might have to give up a little bit of forgiveness, but something like the I230 would be a good baseline.
Tom Ashmore, evening gents, evening Tom. Have you seen much on the Speeder NX Violet? Would it be a good fairway shaft?
We have, it's in the studio now. It is a good fairway shaft. Yeah, very impressed with it from that standpoint in particular. It's got that little bit of kick through the bottom end, a bit more launch than the Speeder NX Blue, utilising the tip section a little bit more. I think it's a really good fairway shaft, yeah.
Graham Jones, my girlfriend is 5.7 and athletic for her age. I've got her
5.7 or
no
5.7.
5.7, I think. I've got her some senior shafted hybrids as I thought she would get more carry as they're longer than ladies' clubs. What's Simon's thoughts?
So yeah, a lot of the ladies' clubs might be a little bit on the shorter side. It's going to be a question of what the balance is like and how does she time those clubs being a little bit longer and heavier. But in principle, makes a lot of sense. So it's just how she manages the extra swing weight that she's going to find on those versus the shorter, lighter ladies' ones.
And will a bit of sandpaper followed by a scrub?
Where are we going here? Is this a follow-on to the last question?
This is a follow-on
right.
with a washing up liquid. Revive her, the grips, and Mean Senior revives the grips. Yes, they will. It will.
It'll help. Yeah, for a short term, it'll help.
Yeah, definitely.
Detergent gets any of the oils and the kind of natural kind of sweating things off the grips, and sandpaper just roughs it up a bit. But it is a temporary measure. So if they are knackered and shiny, it'll do it for like half a round, and then they'll come out your hands in the wet again. Yeah.
And we have smashed it out the park with 2 minutes to go. Now it's busy time of the year. We've got lots of good golf coming up. We've got lots of exciting products coming in the studio. Give us your top 3 products for 2025. Let's go.
Okay.
Go top 3 products. Yeah,
top three products.
Yeah,
so,
whether it be a shaft, whether it be a head, whether it be a wedge, whether it be a new bit of kit, maybe a grip that's come out that you see coming away. What are the top 3 products?
Grip-wise, I don't think there's anything that different coming out. So I'd probably not say grip. I think in terms of biggest improvement, it's going to be QI35 driver over the previous model.
What's that going to offer more?
Ball speed, stability on spin, and if you miss it a bit out the heel, the spin's not going to go through the roof. I think across the board, they've just got this one right.
And the QI35, have we done a demo on that or some video content?
There is on the core model, there's a video comparing the QI10 and QI35 struck across different bits of the face.
Perfect. We've got that on the channel at the moment.
That's on the channel now. That
Jay
has been released.
Post that link
and
up
the 3
as we speak.
well.
Yeah,
but I think driver-wise, the 3 wood's massively strong flight-wise, but the driver, in terms of uplift on last year's product. I think that's a great gain. Iron-wise, we're doing kind of categories, fairways. Let's see. I think it'd be interesting to see how well Srixon do this year. I think they've got a good line of products, a bit like Wilson. I'm going to put those two as kind of some might see as second tier, but actually the performance of the product from my initial tests was really good. It's whether they can eat into some of the other brands, but
because
good quality product.
Because I guess you've got, you know, the Callaways, the Titleist, the TaylorMade's always going to be the headliners. You've got the Srixons, the Wilsons that sit below that people might go after they've tested out. And I suppose maybe February, March time, once we've had this product in, all of a sudden they'll have heard about it a little bit more. They'll have seen performance, they'll see some testing videos, and all of a sudden they might get in their hands first
over the years, and the woods haven't quite caught up. I think having the adjustability, much like the TaylorMade fairway, but having the adjustability allows you to fit it more. Whereas we're a little bit kind of one hand tied behind our back, trying to get them in people's bags, getting them in people's bags because you couldn't dial them in the same way. And iron-wise, I think for Mizuno, is it a good year or a damp squib? I think, have they overcomplicated the line, or have they actually launched a couple of really nice products in the S3 and the 925? I think 925 Forged will do well. The HL's done really well, but I think are they in for a good year or an ordinary one? Have they kind of muddied the waters by having too many models, or actually have they added a two that add real value? I think.
It's going to be a really busy few months here at Precision Golf. If you want a fitting with the main man, you can reach out to him at simon@precisiongolf.co.uk. You won't be able to find his diary online, so you'll need a direct email to Simon. Obviously, you can find all of the links to getting a booking in here at Precision Golf. It's that time of the year that you might even want to just have a little look at your golf clubs and see where you're at with them, and we would love to help you with that. You must be excited. This must be the best time of the year for you, with all this new product coming in and showing it with people that haven't seen it, tried it, tested it, and heard about it.
I think seeing how they actually perform for other, we get a much better picture over the coming couple of weeks of what real golfers do with them, how they perform, rather than just for us hitting them. Actually, what do they do for lots of different swing styles? And you start to get a feel for what products are really good or not so good in certain areas, and where they can. Who you can really kind of utilise certain characteristics for. So it's really interesting at that point. It goes loco the next couple of months. But it's great. It's the season's picking up. The majors are starting to come on the horizon, and the weather's hopefully improving.
That first whiff of freshly cut grass is the thing that gets us all excited. Yeah, still gets us. Well, hopefully wherever you're watching this from, you are experiencing some great golf out on the range, preparing for a new season, or if you're in warmer climates, you're enjoying some great golf. And big thanks to Simon for all of his expertise and his insights from the studio, and James behind there spinning the discs and bringing you all of the shots. We really do enjoy these Monday Night Lives, and we would love you to share with your friends and family and tell them that this is the place to be at 6 o'clock on a Monday evening. From Simon and I, have a great week. We look forward to seeing you next week, 6 p.m. Come join us.